In this video, I'm going to give you a few more details about how to navigate StatCrunch. If I go to sign in the top right corner, I'm going to use my same username and password that I would use with logging into my stat lab. Once I get in there, what we're going to do in this lab specifically is we're going to go to dataset, which is right here. If I'm going too fast in this video, please pause it and then pick up once you are able to follow along. But dataset's here. And in this search box, I'm going to type in stat 201 spring 2021. I'm going to press enter. And then I'm going to choose this third option here, or whatever option it is on your screen, stat 201 spring 2021 Murphy. It is going to open another window or tab on my computer. It may open another window on yours, but you're going to see this spreadsheet here. All right. What you're going to do in this lab is you're going to open up a Word document. The table on page 13 of your book, table 2.2, you need to recreate that and fill that in on the top of a Word document. And so just create a Word document, put gender, commute, eat, residence, pets, work, text, and clothing on the top row of that table. And then under that row, you put whether it's categorical, quantitative, so on and so forth, right? Basically based off of the instructions on the previous pages. Then you're going to get to the discussion questions. And the discussion questions are going to ask you to create graphical displays and then numerical summaries that accompany certain types of variables or combinations of variables. When you want to create a graphical display or a graph, you're going to hover over graph, and then you get all of these options of graphs, right? I would choose ones based off of the chart on page 10 in table 2.1. Choose one that you may be familiar with, or if you want to try something that you're less familiar with, you can. But let's say I wanted to create a pie chart, for instance. What I'm going to do is go to pie chart, and I'm going to say with data because I have my data. Notice that there are a lot more variables in my data set, but it only selects the data that are basically categorical. So it does some of the work for you, or data that looks categorical or discrete. Gender, for instance, is a categorical variable. Actually, I'm going to try to create a variable, choose a variable that is not one of the variables that you have. Just so you, well, that's one you have. The variable transportation, for instance. Now, I'm not sure what that, oh, yeah, shuttle, walk, car. How do you get to school or whatever? So I'm going to create this variable here. This is a categorical variable. I'm not going to use this where option. I will tell you that when you look at problem 3 and problem 4, where you have more than one variable and one of those variables is categorical, then put that categorical variable in the group by option. The reason for that is because when you create a graph with two variables, you want a single graph. And if you don't use this group by option here, which you may use on problems 3 and 4, just so you know, then you're going to have two separate graphs. And we don't want that. We want all of the data on one single graph. So I use this group by when I have two variables and at least one of them is categorical. So choose that one of them and put it one of the categorical variables. If you only have one, then you put that one there. If you have two categorical variables, put one of them here and then select the other one there. All right. And so there is that. It'll ask whether you want to display the count or the percent of the total. You can choose one, or if you hold the shift button down, you can choose both. You can add a title to your graph, like my first graph, and then you can go to compute, and it's going to put that information there, right? And so what I can do is I can go and copy, and it says right click. I can right click and save this image, and then I can copy and paste it into Word. All right. And so this is what you're going to do when you're doing these graphs, right? So select the type of graph you need. In order to get a numerical summary, we're going to go to stat here. Now, there are two places you're going to go for numerical summaries based off of the type of data that you have. If you have a categorical data, or if you have two variables and at least one of them is categorical, are two variables that are categorical, you're going to go to tables, right? If I have one categorical variable, I'm going to go to frequency. Okay, I'm going to choose my categorical variable. Let's go to transportation again. I'm going to choose my categorical variable. If I had another categorical variable, I could put it here. Um, Actually, don't do that. Just do this for one categorical variable. You can choose the statistics that you want to display. We've talked about frequency and relative frequency. There are some other options here, but then you go to compute and you see that you have your actual results. And so you can either copy and paste it that way or go to options and copy that way. All right. Let's say that I had two categorical variables. Then what I'm going to do if I have two categorical variables is instead of going to tables, frequency, I'm going to go to contingency and I'm going to do it with data. With contingency, I can put both of my categorical variables, one on the row and one on the column. I'm going to do percent of total. We'll get to more specifics about this. And in this case, since I have both of my variables, I'm not going to use the group by option, and I'm going to go to compute. All right, and it's because the variable work is not really a categorical variable. I guess it's the number of hours that you worked. So I actually chose a variable that's not categorical. It looked categorical. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to options and I'm going to edit. Notice how it allowed me to, I'm going to do gender here. It told me, the system was like, oh, this variable has too many um, observations, so it may not be categorical. And so that the system is smart enough to kind of tell us, okay, well, you need to be careful with your data here. So I chose a variable that I know is categorical, gender, and I'm going to go to compute. And notice here, I have both of these. I know how many females bike, I know how many males bike, I know how many females who get around by car versus males, so on and so forth. And this is the piece of information that I will copy and paste into my Word document for my descriptive statistics or my numerical summaries. And this is sort of like proportions and frequencies, okay? And so that is an option there. For quantitative variables, you're always going to go here. All right, summary stats. And I'm going to do columns. And so I'm going to choose one of my quantitative variables. Let's say, I don't know what these variables are, but I'm just choosing it. And then I can select different statistics, right? So let's say I wanted the mean and the median. So I'm going to click mean and I'm going to scroll down. Oh, median is there. I'm going to hold down the control button and notice it added and it highlighted it and it added my median. And so I have both the mean and the median highlighted. I did that by using my control button. And then I'm going to go to compute. And here I have my mean of this variable and my median of this variable. And so I am ready to go there. Okay. Now, let's say I had one categorical and one quantitative variable. When you have one categorical and one quantitative variable and you want to do some summary stats or a numerical summary, I know I said before go to tables, but don't go to tables, go to columns, summary stats, and go to columns. And for the quantitative variable, you're going to, I'm going to say Q15 is a quantitative variable. And then for the categorical variable, you're going to go to this group by option here. I'll choose residence. I know that's one of the ones. And then what we're going to see here, if I want my mean, and let's say I want something called the IQR, I'm going to hold down my shift button and do IQR. And then I'm going to compute. And notice it, for each of the categories of the categorical variable, it gives me the mean and the IQR, those numerical summaries there. And so I want you to play around with this. You need certain things for certain problems I didn't go in the order in which the problems are asked in the discussion questions, but I just wanted to give you a little bit more of some guidance on how to complete this lab. Again, you're gonna basically do this table, that's table 2.2 on page 13. You're gonna fill that in, but you're gonna create your table in your own Word document. And then problems 1 through 4, you're going to put all of those, all of those by copy and pasting into Microsoft Word, and then writing whatever observation you can come up with based off of that information. All right, that's all for this video. I hope it's helpful. Good luck getting through this lab.